5 pieces of advice, the place which changes people's lives.
Lorane Gordon, inspirational speaker, success coach, best-selling author, radio host, and creator of her latest result-driven program, Happiness First, Riches Will Follow. Lorane started seeking at the young age of 13 and spent a great part of her life sitting at the feet of masters. She has taken all that knowledge and synthesized it so you could learn everything she has from A to Z, but in a fraction of the time. Lorane is an expert in the fields of manifestation, law of attraction, present moment awareness, and of course, happiness. She is also the creator of Living Life and Loving It, to which Mark Victor Hansen of Chicken Soup for the Soul said, Lorane helps you have a love affair with your life. She is also known for her effective meditations that are available on her website. And notably, Deepak Chopra, who was moved to write Lorane, is a teacher of infinite possibilities. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Hi, Lorane.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled that you came all the way from Poland to my home in California to do this. I thank you so much.
I'm really happy to be here too, and thank you very much.
My pleasure.
All right, Lorane. So the first question I have for you, because in this small introduction, it's really about happiness, and I know your story. It will be good, I think, to share this story with others. But our audience are people who are looking for having happy, meaningful, and fulfilled life.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So my first question for you is how to be happy.
How to be happy?
Yes.
In 2 minutes or less, right?
That's it. That depends. Okay.
Happiness, providing your basic needs are met. Okay. Providing your basic needs are met, is more a matter of how you view and think about life than the actual situations and circumstances in life. So it requires developing an attitude and an appreciation for life and for what is that creates happiness. And I'm not saying your circumstances don't count. I mean, we all want beautiful and wonderful things to occur in our lives. And through what I teach, beautiful and wonderful things do occur in your life. But the reason they occur is because of your emotions and your attitude towards what is right now.
So, do I understand it right? It's all about our attitude towards life.
A lot of it, yes, is your attitude.
So it's like a being independent of about this, what's going on in our lives? It's
about understanding that what is going on does not necessarily have to throw you. In other words, we all have bad days.
Yeah,
there are times when you walk outside and you have a flat tire, right?
Yes.
How do you react?
Okay.
You see, so what I'm trying to say is, much of what I teach, and the reason my program is so successful and it works so well for people, is I help my clients and my students to change their default emotion.
Actually, it's very interesting. I would like to change my default emotions.
From what to what?
I really do. For example, if something happening in my life, I'm observing that I'm getting sad if something it's not going on my way. Yes. So probably this is what I understand my default emotion.
Could be. You could have many. You could have others. I mean, this is the one you've told me about.
Yeah.
So you're saying your default emotion may be sad. Yes. Did you mean sad, or might it be aggravated or annoyed? But did you mean actually sad?
Yeah, it's kind of sad and disappointment in the same time.
Disappointment. Okay,
yes.
I got it. So you see, what I teach, manifestation or law of attraction, through happiness. And the reason I do that is because when we make happiness our default emotion, then we create or manifest or bring to ourselves other things that line up with happiness. And this is the easiest way I have ever found to teach you how to bring into your life the things that you want. So for example, if you're feeling sad and down a lot of the time because things don't seem to be going your way, you will attract more sad and down things. So your default emotion, the emotion you feel 90% of the time, is why the situations and the things and the people and the events show up in your life.
And Lorraine, it's really like that. If really I don't change this, so it means my life it's not going to change. Is it really so important how we feel on the I don't know 90% of our time?
It's everything. It's everything. If you want to create a love-filled, success-filled, happy life, it is everything. You have to learn how to recognize when you're sliding into that old default emotion, and once you learn that, you can change it on a dime.
But how does that look like? Because there is I'm meeting a lot of people, and some of them believe, for example, everything is already like wrote down. That
I don't know who you're meeting that believes that, because people that in the metaphysical world that I'm in, and I do a radio interview weekly and have been in this field all of my life, I don't know anybody that believes in predestination. So I don't know who you're talking about exactly, but they aren't people I know, and I don't believe in predestination. Now, if you're talking about karma or coming in with an idea of what you need to learn this lifetime, yes, that I believe in.
So is it really like that are we responsible for all the things which happening in our life?
Yes and no. There are more laws than simply the law of attraction. If we take into consideration that often the situations or the events that show up in our life are there for a greater reason. They might be there for a reason that we don't quite understand right now, but eventually will lead us to our greater good. And if we accept those things without the horrible remorse or sadness or anger or depression or stress, whatever it might be, we can turn it around more quickly and learn the lesson that we may have come here to learn.
Okay.
That was a lot in a short period of time. I hope that was clear.
It is. But it's really, for me, it's like hard to accept this, that, or maybe somewhere deeper in me, I don't want to accept this concept that I'm really responsible for all these things. And
you don't want to accept it?
I mean, because it's taking on me so much pressure that I'm responsible for almost every move, everything what I'm doing, and every kind of result I'm getting. I'm responsible for that.
Right. I understand. I think that is a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. But I look at it so differently, Pawel. I see it this way. If you are responsible to have created the life that you have, and maybe the things you don't want, you're very powerful. And that means you can change that with your own power if you learn to manage yourself properly. The fact that you're responsible gives you enormous creative abilities to bring into your life what you do want. And it's only through lack of understanding and teaching and managing your emotions that has created what you don't want in your life.
That makes sense. So, for example, I really would like to change my life, and I'm one of the reasons I'm doing all these things, because I really want to change my life and help people get inspired or help their lives.
I know you do.
And so, for example, for a young guy like me, I want this point, I want to change my life. What you could give an advice, what kind of advice you could give to just start this change immediately, and I can, like from today, I can apply it to my life to start shifting my life.
I can give you an overview or I can give you some specifics, but overall, and we've all heard this a million times, it's about appreciation. It's about, instead of looking at what you don't have in life, you begin to look at what you do have in life. And this has to be, you have to learn these things, because often we don't even know that we're looking at what we don't have. We think we're manifesting something better. So for example, I'm going to use a material situation, someone that wants a bigger house, okay? And instead of putting out there that they want a bigger house, most of their conversation may be something like, my house is just too small. I have no closets in my darn house. Mm-hmm. Everybody's underfoot in my house. So instead of, when they think they're concentrating or putting their attention on using manifestation or law of attraction towards what they want, they're actually putting their attention on what they don't want. And that's why more of the same shows up. So this is what I'm a master at teaching you, is to shift your focus so that you bring in the things that you want. That's esoteric, but you want actual day-to-day things that you can do. The reason I teach happiness first, riches will follow, is because we want to develop an overall energy field of happiness so that your default emotion becomes happiness. And then when if the law of attraction says we attract an equal energy field to us. Whatever we are, those are the things we attract to us. And I believe to a great extent that's true. So if your default emotion is wanting, you're going to always be wanting. You're going to attract more things to want. If your default emotion is sad, you're going to attract more things to be sad about. But if your default emotion is happiness, you attract more things that make you feel happy. And that's the reason I say happiness first, riches will follow. Because when you learn how to feel happy, how to feel joyful, how to feel appreciative, and it is something you need to learn, life begins working for you. And then relationships start showing up, loving relationships, material things, events and situations that line up with what you want in your world.
Okay, so if I would like to apply the rules which are going to help me to create this happiness vibration, what are you supposed to do?
Well, I have a program that is an 8-week program that brings you through everything that you need to do to begin to shift your emotion, actually to positively shift your emotion from whatever your default emotion may be right now into happiness. And we cover all kinds of subjects, but it's a comprehensive program that shows you, not only shows you, changes you. It changes you, Pawel, so that your default emotion isn't sad any longer. Your default emotion is happy. And then you start to bring in the stuff that you want.
Okay, so if you could share with us maybe one thing from this program, like one rule from this.
Well, there are so many things. I think one of the most important things to learn is something called the inner observer. You see, your inner observer is that part of you that knows what you're thinking, knows what you're feeling, knows how you're reacting to what is. And that's called consciousness. And so many of us are looking, the reason people meditate and they do so many of the things they do, the practices, is to develop consciousness, right? Well, your inner observer is your consciousness. And it's like a GPS that tells you what's going on with you. So let me ask you, how often are you maybe sad before it even kicks in and you recognize that you're sad? Because you might be so accustomed to that feeling, which is your default emotion, that you don't even notice it. When you have your inner observer tuned up, you know right away that you've slipped into sadness, and then you can shift it. So that's one example.
All right.
It's magical.
Could you tell me, or could you tell us, how's that happened with you, and how's that when the shift starting to occur? And
with me?
Yes.
Probably the most pivotal thing that ever happened to me is I was living, an incredibly opulent lifestyle, because I am a manifester. I do know how to create, and I was teaching students, because that's my life is about teaching. So my students were manifesting fabulous things, and I was out in my backyard in my hot tub. And one of the ways I would practice manifestation would be to visualize, and I would do it floating on my back in the hot tub. So I was in this gorgeous backyard under the stars, this mansion, which is mine, and I'm floating, and I'm picturing more. I'm picturing more houses, bigger houses, more jewelry, more travel, better cars, all of these things that would be added on to all of this stuff I already had. And I heard a voice loudly say, "So what?" And the voice was scary. I didn't know if there was a person. I jumped up out of the water to see who said it, because I could hear it in my ears. It reverberated through my body, and I didn't know what the heck it meant, but I thought somebody was in the yard. And when I realized no one was there, and I didn't want to think about it too much more, I went back into meditation and once again started to float and to try to visualize and put myself in that position of having more. And I heard the voice again. So what? I got out of the hot tub. I couldn't understand what it meant. I didn't want to understand what it meant. Over a period of the next year, I lost my ability to meditate. I stopped teaching for a little while because I felt like a fraud, because I had lost my peace of mind, and I got very sick. And events eventually brought me to India, and on the way to India, I learned about living in the present moment. And it took a long time to get to India. By the time I got there, as a teacher, I went with a very good girlfriend. I read the material, and then I talked about it to her, and I taught her. By the time I got to India, I had a better idea of what living in the present moment was. And while I was there, I became very, very unhappy in India. And the thing is, it took 40 hours to get there. It was a very long trek. We were with my favorite teacher, Deepak Chopra, who I adore. We were in a 5-star resort, so there wasn't a reason to be unhappy. You might feel deep compassion when you go into the poorer areas of India, and I've been there too, and there's a reason to feel compassion, but I wasn't having that. I was in this protected environment. The Dalai Lama was going to show up in a few days. We had monks and pundits and teachers and fabulous food and all these reasons to be happy, right? I was not happy. I was so miserable and so unhappy, and I went back to my room. And as I did, I was getting ready to leave. I thought, I'm going home. I don't have to travel to India to be unhappy. I could be unhappy in the comfort of my own home, in bed. And I realized that there was a part of that information that I hadn't read, and that had to do with the pain body. And so what I did is I picked that book up again. And by the way, for your listeners, it happened to be The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I picked up the book again and read the chapter on the pain body. And it spoke so loudly to me. I read it 3 times that night. When we are feeling depression or unhappiness or anger or stress or anxiety, often we start trying to figure it out with the mind, right? We start trying to understand why. So instead of understanding why, the trick is to put your attention on your body, to find the feeling of dis-ease, discomfort within the body, and breathe into it. And notice as you try to figure it out, because and bring yourself back into your body. And there's a process of breathing, and you breathe through it. And I have a meditation out, releasing the pain body also. And it's very, very effective. But the reason you don't want to concentrate on the problem is because when you're trying to concentrate on the problem, in other words, why am I feeling stressed or why am I feeling angry? Your mind gives you answers to the questions that you ask. So you underline it, and instead of feeling better, you feel justified in your anger. Oh yeah, that's why I'm angry. I'm angry because he did this and she did that and the circumstances were horrible and I have every right to feel angry. Well, that's what the mind does, and that doesn't help to heal you. What helps to heal you is simply to let the mind go during times like that. Go into the body, find that discomfort within, and breathe into it. Whatever age we are in life, we have many different shifts, and I certainly have had a lot of changes that have taken place in my life. But I became a powerful manifester at a very, very young age. And the reason, and manifester, I'm talking about what you now know, you think of as law of attraction. Because of my upbringing and a deep sense of being out of control and not having safety, I learned how to think in a way that would bring into my life things, situations, events, and that's how I grabbed control of my life. So at a specific point in life, I had just about everything you could possibly want, and I could see it was working. And I was teaching other people how to manifest. But the big change that happened for me is that I realized that I was very busy getting stuff, and I had all this fabulous stuff, but I wasn't happy. So I had to learn how to change that. Because why do you want the stuff anyway, Pawel? You want it because you believe it's going to make you happy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But I'm saying you need happiness first. My program teaches you how to get the stuff, the money and the success and the love and all those, but you don't have to wait to be happy. You're happy first.
Is it one particular thing which you can start doing every morning?
Yes, there really is one particular thing you can start doing every morning. So for example, when you wake up, can you, before you bound out of bed, can you give yourself just a moment to experience the comfort of your bed?
Of course.
Can you take a breath, just breathe in deeply, and feel your bed, maybe the warmth or the softness of the sheets, often I think many of us get out of bed, the alarm rings, and we're like, I have this to do and I have that to do and this is going on and that, and we go into stress. And as I've said, and this is the most important thing you can learn, is that your feelings, your energy field is what attracts to you what shows up. So if you're feeling that stress first thing in the morning, you see, but if you feel appreciation, and I'm not asking you to run through a list, what do I have to appreciate, although that's good too. But just feel the comfort of your own bed, the warmth, the safety of your own bed, which is something most of us don't do, and it's simple, isn't it? You see, Pawel, it's the little simple things done regularly that change your life. It's not huge, enormous things. It's little things done every day that create a change in your life.
And you can become a mentor for millions of people around the world. Just go to the Leave Your Advice section and share your wisdom with the world. And if your story is outstanding, we will come to you and record an exclusive interview about your story.
Would you like to share something, some piece of advice which, coming from the perspective you did great, or maybe you didn't, but you have this wisdom already?
I would say it was about being a better wife. Because I've helped many people with their marriages and helped many people find the right mates and actually get married. But what we find often when a marriage isn't going well, and we're going to assume that both people are good people. We're not talking about a person that batters or hits or womanizes. We're talking about a good person. But often the reason a marriage goes haywire is because one party is putting a lot of attention on the things they don't like about that other person. So they're giving a lot of attention to things that they really find annoying. And they're no longer paying attention to the things that drew them to that other person to begin with. Maybe it's what they used to think was so cute, now they find very annoying. So they've shifted their mindset and now they're finding everything annoying. The truth is, you get more of what you look at. So you actually cause your partner to become more and more annoying as you give attention to that. So what I have found happening with women, often women that have come to me that have been in a situation where they really even want to leave their husbands, is when they start looking at it from another perspective and start appreciating and having compassion for their husband.
So, okay, could you share, for example, what was the moment you learned how to be happier? What was this thing you learned that?
Well, it took me a little while. Remember I told you the hot tub story?
Yes.
And I had all this stuff. And luckily I still have a lot of stuff, But I realized I wasn't happy. I didn't even know I wasn't happy. You see, I was such a A-type personality. I thought the way to get happy was to get stuff, right? But I forgot about the happy part. So all I did was get more and more stuff and never felt any joy about it. So I recognized how to feel satisfied and relaxed and peaceful when I learned about living in the present moment. And then I put it together with all of my other teachings. It was something that I created over a period of a few years, and found that happiness is what I feel when I feel balanced, when I'm living in the present moment, when my observer is working for me, when I know what's going on with me, when I'm putting my attention on what I love about my life instead of what I don't love. That's when I feel happy. And so it probably happened within about a year after I had that hot tub experience, maybe a year and a half.
Okay.
But until I was able to really teach it, that took a few more years.
Okay. Lorane, for example, you are meeting one young woman and young man, and they ask you about 5 pieces of advice from your entire life experience, all these shifts and all these kind of things, and they are just starting their life. So what could you tell them?
The first thing I would say is learn how to live in the present moment. Because when you aren't really living in the present moment, you're doing one of two things. You're either in remorse about yesterday. You might be in remorse or guilt about yesterday, or you might be looking at yesterday wistfully, thinking it was so much better than today. You see, so you can look back and appreciate something and not necessarily be unhappy about it. But most of the time, if you're not right here, where we are right now, you might be concerned about something that you did, your regrets. Yeah. And that very concern brings it into the present moment. You drag it along with you. So when we talk about baggage, we bring what we were into who we are. We don't have to do that. If we are actually here 100% now, we're free of those old stories. You see, those old stories don't define you any longer when you're completely in the present moment. So when you're in the present moment, and we just talked about how you're either living in the past or you're living in the future. When you're living in the future, often you're doing one of two things. You're either fearful that something may occur that you don't want, such as maybe you're afraid of not paying your bills or losing your house or your kids not graduating school or whatever it might be. So you're living in fear and you're actually creating that because, as you know, we create what we so clearly see and feel. And we're doing it with emotion. Fear is very emotional. Or we're putting off our happiness, thinking when such and such happens, I'll be happy. And when this happens, I'll be happy. So in either case, living in the past or the future isn't being in the present moment. And being here now is the only place you can feel happy. Number two, I would say appreciate. Okay. Appreciate. Learn to focus your attention on what you do have. Because if you put your attention on what you don't have, that creates unhappiness. Because it creates this deep longing or desire for something that you don't have. And I'm not saying that desire doesn't have its place. It does. It can work to bring you into a greater state of many, many things. But when you only put your attention on what's out there that you don't have, you keep it out there. You don't draw it into your life. It's a metaphysical truth because it's always going to be out there. But when you can be in the present moment, appreciating, like right now, I'm looking at you and I appreciate the fact that you're here in my house and that you're, and I appreciate this beautiful flower and I appreciate the fact that it got cool in the room. I'm very happy about that. And you see, that creates happiness, and happiness first. Riches will follow. All of these things create happiness, and I'm all about helping you to feel happy now so that you can get all that stuff that might be keeping you unhappy because you're in such deep longing about it, it makes you feel bad you don't have it. And I'm telling you there's another way. Number three would be dealing with your anger, lack of forgiveness. When we hold anger towards anyone, we're actually holding an energy that is so powerfully destructive to ourselves that learning how to forgive and to let go is such a tremendous thing insofar as helping you to be happy. That certainly it has a great deal to do with what you create in your life. I think understanding what makes us feel good, our purpose in life, to do what you're here to do instead of what society has told you you're here to do. And so often we are so immersed in being good, doing the right thing, doing what's expected of us, doing what our parents wanted us to do, and we find ourselves in very unfulfilling lives. We may have come into this world with a talent or a gift that we're completely ignoring, and we feel very unfulfilled because we're not taking care of our purpose, our reason for being. And when we can find that thing, and I help people find what it is, because when you're doing whatever that is, your heart sings. But often, because of this desire to please a society or our parents or our teachers or our church, we've tamped down that truth within us. We don't recognize it. And we just walk around feeling unfulfilled. So I say it's so important to find what makes your heart sing. Why are you really here? Because everyone's here for a reason. Fifth one would be to develop your inner observer. We have this fabulous part of ourselves that's like a GPS. Yes. You could have, let's say you've got the best GPS, the most expensive. You've got this super duper car with this built-in GPS that is technologically beyond anything, and it always tells you where to go and how to go, and it lets you know if you're off course, right? Yeah. But what happens if you don't turn it on? You have got the finest GPS within you. Learn how to access it and learn how to get the feedback from it, because it's available to you, but it's something you need to learn to utilize. Is your observer. It's the gold within you. And most spiritual teachers will tell you that is truly who you actually are. You see, the rest of you is persona. It's your personality, but the truth of who you are, that spiritual nugget, that being that is so much like me and like everyone listening, is your observer. Many people talk about this life as a school, that life goes on as a school where we learn, if you believe in reincarnation, and that this is to become better, to expand, and to understand ourselves as source in a greater capacity. And so what we didn't get last lifetime, we might be getting this time. I believe it's the Buddha that says the purpose of life is happiness. And I have to go along with that.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest was Lorane Gordon.
We believe sharing is really sexy. So if you like what you've seen here, please share this video with others, subscribe, and sign up for our email updates for exclusive content.